Hello everyone, and welcome back to part number 2 of our preview of Nemesis 5, as we go in with the next Czechoslovak division, with the second Motostrelecka Divise coming in against the Spanish that we looked at in the last video. If you missed that, it came out yesterday, and we're gonna go in with the logistics tab. This is part of the Nemesis DLC coming out at the 6th of January. And as always, in the Nemesis, it's going to be just a 2 division pack uh, based around nations that we already know, fleshing them out a bit more here, and that's exactly what this does as well. And in the second Motostrelecka, we start with a classic logistics tab here. We have all sizes of trucks: 600 supply, 750 supply, 3000 supply. Pretty good mix there. We also get a decent mix of CVs. We get an OT62 here. We get a BMP1 or BVP1 here as well with 3 availability. A helicopter and a V64 here, or VSOAT 64 coming around as well as the little armored wheeled transport, but no normal unarmored CV with 3 availability. So, bit of a limitation there, but outside of that, all the normal choices that you would expect. So, still a decent amount of options here in the CV, in the logistics tab in general. And good slots here as well. 3 1 cost, 2 cost slots. That is great logistics slots. And the classic PMC FSP here as well. Infantry tab, we come around with the classic 7.62mm MG. 2 cards of these here in the current meta. That's something that you might want to consider actually. And you also get AGS 17 2 cards of, so yeah, current meta of good fire support play. This might be relatively interesting, though these guys get nerfed to 15 suppression per shot instead of 20, so 7.62mm got a decent nerf there with this patch. The AGS still gonna be interesting and still are pretty strong, and the infantry tab is open and only 1 2-cost slot in the end there, so you have a lot of slots here available for this. Military police, the classic tie that we have in all the other Czechoslovak divisions as well, coming around in the classic options that we have in the other 2, or other 3 actually, as well. A security unit here coming around with Scorpions and assault rifles, and this is a pretty standard in general, like really representative Czechoslovak division. If you don't have Southak and you want to get a bit of a taste for the Czechoslovaks, this might actually be a good way in that isn't as expensive. So, from that perspective, if you don't have everything already in Wano, I think the Nemesis is always a solid feeler into the options from that way around as well. And yeah, we have here the Panzer Novici here as well, with the double RPG 7VL, BMP1 as a transport, and the disheartened reservist units here of the Solosnici coming around with only 1 MG, a good amount of assault rifles, and an RPG 75, which is the pretty terrible homebrew design of the Czechoslovaks that doesn't deal the greatest damage, but it is an RPG. And you get an OTC T62B as an option here as well. 2 cards of these if you want to spam them. Ziniste and Ziniste LPO with the flamethrower coming around, and an OT64 as transport option here for both of these if you want to have a bit of extra firepower coming around with your relatively mediocre engineering squads that only have Scorpion SMGs here. No extra firepower there. Velitel Zinistu, their leader unit, in a decent spot with the RPG 7BM, 6 hit points. This is a pretty decent leader, can come in the OT64 as well. And then we have the Velitel Motostrelecka, which we have in the other divisions as well, with the Strela and the Smoke. I really like the utility of this. Can come in the BMP1 here as well. In general, BMP1, the transport of choice in this division, no BMP2 option, both for the Motostrelecka and the Motostrelecka RPG 7. So, this just the normal infantry, which is pretty good. The Czechoslovak infantry here with the double MG for 40 point, pretty efficient. BMP1 still pretty decent as well, so this is still units that you would want to take, but not as fancy with the BMP2 option here as in some of the other divisions. and the support AT weapons here with the Conquerors and the Fagot option, that is pretty special. The Conquerors usually not showing up in the Czechoslovak divisions that easily, so getting a card of Conquerors here, that's quite nice. And 2 cards of Fagot, so you really could spam ATGMs out if you want to as well. You get the 82mm recoilless rifle as well in an OT64C actually, with the turret and the extra PKTMG next to it. And then you get the big mountaineer military police, like border guard squad here in the Poranitsi Nitsi with this SVD and an MG and an RPG 75. Special part about this is the mountaineer trade, practicing around the border, which is pretty mountainous, to Bavaria, and that means that they are a bit faster in all off-road terrain, like especially through forest. They run a bit faster, like they don't get the speed penalty that other units get there, so they can chase down other infantry. Issue is they are pretty good, but not amazing at dealing with infantry, and especially not on the move, because both the medium machine gun and the sniper rifle can't be used on the move, so you always have to kind of stutter step against them. If you played a lot of StarCraft 2 and you are good at stutter stepping your Marines, then you can do it with these guys as well. But outside of that, this is okay, but not amazing. The anti-tank rocket launcher here in it is a nice addition to at least have, but it's not amazing. The security rate mixed is a great flank holder as well, and with the AT rocket and 11 hit points and decent firepower, they will hold the flank. So that's for 65 points a decent bargain as well. And you have a leader variant of these with just an SVD, no AT weapon, 8-man squad here. Decent at killing enemies as well, but lacks a medium machine gun or a second sniper rifle or so to really pop off. Then we have the normal Streltsy, starting with the leader, normal RPG, and a smoke. Pretty versatile unit here as well, like the Czechoslovak leaders in general. Pretty good options here, all of them. And the OT64C coming around for these guys as well. And then we have the normal Streltsy here with double MG 9 hit points and the RPG 7VL, which is a really good squad as well. Went up 5 points though, as they were just a bit too efficient. And we have the Kulo Metitsi here as the final squad, which is basically the Czechoslovak fire support squad, though with 9 hit points here and 3 medium machine guns. So this is a really good, like, just holding ground unit coming around in the OT64 as well, and just really good at killing off enemy infantry at medium distance. So with this plus the border guards, you are in a pretty good spot here with the Czechoslovaks. In general, just a lot of firepower with medium machine guns coming around with them. So holding off enemy infantry is something that all their squads do pretty well, and this one even a bit better than the rest. Artillery, pretty standard for Czechoslovak one as well. You start with 82mm mortars, no self-propelled here ones here coming around, but you get a 130mm towed artillery piece and a 122mm classic T30 here coming around as well. The 130mm new for the Czechs coming around here. Good range, decent damage. Could be an option. Gets at least 3 base availability and 2 at 1 vet, at which point their reload time and aim time go on to a decent spot. So could be an option here with 1 vet. You get your classic Quadzika coming around here, the 2S1, and you also get a Dana, or 2 Dana cards actually even, and the RMVZ51, which comes with a decent reload speed and decent aim time here as well, though the range is pretty terrible, and the damage is okay but not great. And then the RM70, which gets slightly slower, smaller rockets, but gets a bit more of them, and also, more importantly, gets a good bit more range. So, RM70 here is an option as well for 10 points more. The extra range, though, and the better accuracy with that, gonna be interesting and more relevant than the RMVZ 51 usually. Slots here pretty good as well. Tank tab. This is where finally T55M2s were mainly produced in Czechoslovakia, and showing up here for the Czechoslovaks, as we have them with the Polish, we have them with the East Germans, and now we have them with the Czechoslovaks as well. I wish there would be even more of these here, but you get 2 cards of the normal AM2, and you get 1 card of the AM2B. You get a card of T72 M1s as well, so you have a good mix here. Those are the ones with the basic smoke and 17 frontal armor, so the mix of tanks here is pretty good. Long range T55s here, including the one with the ATGM. T54Bs, if you want to have something cheaper, coming in for the spam early on as well, doing a decent job there too. And good fire support here with the amount of MGs and a decent 1mm, decent rate of fire gun. And then you also have some anti-tank guns, but with the slots that you have here, as those are not Rapiras with the ATGM, just normal VZ52 and VZ53 here, 85 and 1mm anti-tank guns. I believe you stick with the tanks and maybe the Malyutka launcher, though even that I don't believe you're going to take. You're just going to take tanks here with the slots, as they're a bit limited. As I said, I wish the T55s would even show up with 1 more card, if maybe a 2nd card of AM2Bs, or just a 3rd card of AM2 normal ones here, and then just fill out the slots with those. And then Recon tab, pretty good one as well. You get the RPS-6 Vector, another little sick-int vehicle showing up here for the Czechoslovaks. It's gonna be interesting to see really if those gonna pop up here. Recon slots really affordable for this division as well, and a lot of units that we already know. The OT-65 with exceptional optics, the Vitra here with the recoilless rifle on top. Not the greatest range though, so not that great at actually killing anything with it, but slots and options here are pretty good in this. You get your Mountaineer border guards without any anti-tank option here, but good firepower, and can still run around the enemy lines. They have the military police trait as well, though it's the question if you really want to use the reservists here all that much, and if you want to have your Recon running with them. But it could be an option of playing this division. It'll be interesting to see if that shows up. The division in general seems to be relatively cost efficient, so we might see it show up a good bit in tournament play, actually. I believe it's not, once more, not a really fancy division, just like the Spanish, but it has a decent amount of options here. Snipers with forward deployment, and the Pushkamnitsi here coming around with 1MG, your classic 4-man squad with an RPG, and the UVATS. The RPG, pretty bad, but at least it is an anti-tank weapon. Your Tsuniste, Pushkamnitsi, your Engineer Recon with the satchel charges throwing up, your motorized variant with the BMP-1 Recon, which got a bit cheaper, so could bring them around with the Recon BMP-1. The SHPZ coming around with an RPG, and Special Forces, as those show up for all the regular army units here, the active service 1st and 19th as well. So, and the Svatava 1 card here, plus a Mi-17 MTA with exceptional optics, so good radar on this one. So good Recon helicopter. Svatava, always great with exceptional optics and the HGM. A decent gun, SHPZ, and especially the RT1 with GSR, really good as well. So really, really good options here in the Recon tab. This might be worth it as well. So maybe, I don't know, I think 60 points is fine, but yeah, it's just such a competitive Recon tab, even with the slots that you get. So gonna be interesting to see how people gonna fill out theirs. I believe it's gonna be the SHPZs, the Svatava, and then Mot, and then maybe the Vector, maybe the SRN or so. Gonna be interesting. Helicopter, obviously, good option there as well. So yeah, we're gonna see. AA, decent as well. You get a mediocre manpads with the Strela. You get a quad 12.7mm, and that same thing on a truck. But that means it has lower helicopter range, only 2,125 meter range, which is not great, as a lot of them can fire back at you at that range with rockets and so on. So, not optimal, but Yeah, decent anti-infantry fire support as well, though obviously since the nerf, not quite as oppressive anymore with this. So this is not going to be that dominant. And you have a Yester car option here as well with 3 cards, so that's likely what you're going to take. Even though, yeah, it shows up in all the other divisions and the 31st as well, but Yester car is just really reliable anti-helicopter unit with the double 30 mil. Good anti-helicopter range as well. Coop showing up here with 2 cards as well, so great anti-aircraft range here as well. So you're not going to struggle much with that either. 2 cards usually is all that you need there, and you usually take them 2 or 1 vet as well. Like first one vet, 2 vet, second card 1 vet, and then you have 3 to work around with if you might crit them well against artillery and seed. That should be enough usually for the game, or just 2 on 1 vet for a total, which usually does the job as well. Helicopter tab, pretty expensive here, 2 and 3 cost a lot. So you usually gonna run the Me Too URP for the openers, I believe, because you don't have direct forward deployment, but you can assist your Recon tab quite well with this. Whilst the Me 17 rocket is pretty mediocre, not a unit that you're gonna use all that much. And in the air tab, you have some decent options. The MiG-23 MLA AA with only 10% ECM and the terrible long-range missiles is still a 155 point plane with long-range missiles. And 6 missiles in total. And the 155 point price point plus the 3 availability is what sells this plane. So still a decent fighter in my eyes. You can take it up with 1 vet to, or like 2 vet here in this case, with the air tab, but like up vet at 1 level. Have 2 availability to get it a bit of extra accuracy and especially also a bit of extra survivability if you believe you're not going to use all 6 of them, which is a decent option. But Victory 3 MLA a really solid fighter in general. And then the strike package that you get in this division is pretty good. MiG-21 MA, I don't believe you're going to take that much over the MiG-23s, and 2 cards of those should be enough. You start with Su-7s actually here, old design fighter bombers, the predecessor of the Su-22s, and Su-17s. And the Su-7 here, BKL, coming around with 8 250 kilogram bombs. Not the greatest loadout. 2 30mm guns here coming around as well, so decent fire output there with that. As they here in the wings, and in general the bombs though could be a bit better. You get a rocket variant as well. That is the more interesting one in my eyes, as both are 3 availability, which is the nice part. But this is also only 145 points, and those are the big rockets, meaning the reload type is insane, 24 seconds only, and with 6 of these, you actually can kill infantry pretty reliably, and even deal pretty decent damage against vehicles. So, Su-7 BKL rocket, I believe this one will show up quite a bit. And then you have all the Su-22 options. You have an AT with the good KH-29T AT-Gem. You have a Seed one with the relatively mediocre Seed missiles, but you get 4 of them on the Su-22, which is a new thing. And some air-to-air missiles on all of these units here as well, with just some R-60s thrown into it. Not the thing on the Su-7s. Cluster option with the 2 good cluster bombs. Big 6 500 kilogram bomb, which just kills everything as well. A decent napalm bomb with 4 napalm bombs, though yeah, even with the buffs, napalm not that amazing. And then you get double KMGU one here, cluster bomber. Issue with this thing is still that the reload time is just a bit too long. So this one will delete units on the ground, will delete infantry units in buildings and so on. Issue is the 6-minute reload time. If that would ever get reduced, this plane immediately would become pretty solid. But with the 6-minute reload time, you are just a bit too reliant on actually getting a great first run. If you don't get that, you are in a bit of trouble here. So yeah, 4 pods split up into 2 weapons here coming around for this. So really interesting and pretty solid air tab as well, but hindered by the slot cost. And that leaves the division as a really, really standard compact mechanized infantry division. Like, this is really the proto-mech division, and it does that pretty well. As, yeah, it has a couple of new units, as always with the Nemesis. It's not super fancy usually, uh, unless people vote for the really odd one out. But obviously with the Eugen ones, it's not what we get. We get more additions to already known nations, and yeah, this option here is pretty fine. Like, if you want to play a bit more classic mechanized, this is a nice little extra flavor. It's not something super special, but the air tab is nice. The recon tab and the tank tab will play nice together. The infantry tab is super deep and has a good amount of options as well. And the artillery is good too, so this is likely going to be a pretty decent division. It's just not a fancy division. As for those, we will have to wait for the bigger DLCs for the Lansuit and especially the Blackbird one, which will give us likely some really wild and interesting new nations with new voice actors and so on. But yeah, the Nemesis are just the little things that Eugen throws at us that we can either pick up and use or not buy. Nobody needs to buy these. Those are not mandatory by any means. Um, and yeah, I like to get them, but this is not going to change my perspective of one all that much. The patch of it, though, is a pretty good one. So we're gonna cover that in the video tomorrow. So if you don't want to miss that, see you all there, and have a nice day.